My log has a message for you. The stars turn and a time presents itself. It's part 1 and 2 of the Twin Peaks revival. This is Twin Peeps, the Odd Shaped Channel recap show for Twin Peaks. I'm Tom Bennis,
I'm Kimber,
and we're here to talk about episode 1, parts 1 and 2 of the new Twin Peaks revival. Nobody's in the chat yet, but that will change soon, I'm sure, and we'll be talking along with you. Excuse me, through there. But I mean, to get started, I guess overall,
I loved it.
yeah, no, I have not a single complaint, which is rare for me.
Yeah, I thought it was just as weird as I expected it to be. Definitely still felt like Twin Peaks, and just more modern for sure. Like taking advantage of special effects technology and stuff
Did
that
you
he didn't have.
did you get the feeling this was still shot on film?
It could have been. I don't know enough about. Like
Yeah.
they're really good with digital now to make it look
Yeah.
like film and stuff.
Because it opens right away with footage from the old season, and it's like it almost isn't like it doesn't take away from anything. Like we were watching Rogue One, and they were using old cuts, and I knew they were using old cuts. This didn't. It felt like the same visually.
Yeah, and I personally liked that he started it with that because he was like, okay, listen, we're continuing this story. It's 25 years later, even though it's actually 27 years later, but in the story it's 25 years later, and here we go from there.
All right, so I guess we'll get the recap started. As we said, it starts off with some old footage of Cooper sitting in the chair in the Black Lodge, and he's drinking coffee, and across from him is Laura Palmer. And she says, Agent Cooper, I'll see you in 25 years. Meanwhile,
She does
like a Vanna White kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then it does some scenic shots, kind of goes over some old places. Like I think that was the ruins of the sawmill that we saw, and it wasn't operating.
It was like the intro of the show.
Yeah, it was kind of like, I don't know if that's the new intro or not, because then they went into a different thing. And then it showed the high school empty.
Yeah, I felt like it was the intro of the show. Weren't they rolling the credits?
No, because it goes through the high school, and then it goes into the trophy room, and then it goes onto Laura Palmer's picture, which is still there.
Oh, and then
but at the same time, it felt like that was from back then too, because it looked like it was Donna running across.
Mm-hmm.
She was covering her face, but because the only crying person I remember running across anywhere was Donna during the series, although there was a lot of crying.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but then the Twin Peaks music starts to kick in, and it's just beautiful scenic shots, and the same theme song.
Mm-hmm. Had to be.
It was, yeah, for sure. We were waiting for confirmation that the guy was still involved, and we got it like 2 days before the show ran.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Yeah, and what's cool about this one is it also, instead of just being like the scenic shots from the first one and then like having the birds and stuff, this one has those scenic shots and then like segues into like like a lodge like symbology, like the chevron pattern and the red curtains and stuff. So that's already like an element of it's like a real element of the show now because it's in the title sequence.
Yeah, for real.
You know what I mean? And I wrote hypnotizing because it did kind of feel hypnotizing the way it was tracking across the floor. And then we get the giant in black and white, and he's talking to Cooper now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's obviously now because the giant has aged and Cooper has aged. And
looking much better than they predicted he would look when they showed older Cooper.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And the giant tells him, like, listen to the sounds, and it sounds like talking. It's being played over like one of those old record players. Phonograph. Yeah. But it's like very like it's like a pattern of speech, it feels like. But we don't get a clear the giant could be translating it because he says right after it, it's in our house now. So I don't know if that was him, or it was something else, like maybe that's what it is. It's Lynch, so anything could be anything. And then he tells him some information. He tells him the number 430.
Mm-hmm.
He gives him two names, Richard and Linda, two birds and one stone. And Cooper says, I understand, and I'm glad because I don't.
Still don't.
And then the giant says to him, you're far away. And he like does a cool, it's not like they do a lot of fading shots in Twin Peaks, but this is more like a digital like fade where he's like cracking, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to, it's like he's like splintering instead of like fading, but it's
Yeah.
cool. It's a cool effect.
Hey, Cal.
Hey, Cal, how's it going? I hope you had a good time yesterday. We had a good time here.
This isn't showing up on his YouTube.
Oh, no. That's no good.
I got a notification.
Well,
I'm hoping other people are seeing that.
Spread the word, Cal.
And not having problems with YouTube as well. That's
Link them up. We're also at a different time than usual, so I might not have been super clear. I hope I was.
Yeah, all our other shows are at 9, but this one's 8.
It's a 2-hour show, so
Yeah.
we were figuring we might need some more time. But continuing, we go to trailer park, and it's like a delivery truck pulling up, and we see an old Dr. Jacoby. It's fine, Cal. We appreciate it. We understand.
And I know you loved the bit when he comes out and he has sunglasses on and he takes his sunglasses off and he has the iconic 3D style glasses.
Yeah, which I thought was unnecessary but hilarious. The equipment that they're dropping off is just a bunch of shovels. Like
Weird.
he's like taking them out of the box and he's like carrying away like 5 shovels, and the guy who's dropping the stuff off is like, do you need any help? And he's like, I work alone. And that's all we see of Jacoby for the episode.
Yeah. He was just there to do the sunglasses.
And then this is like I'm here too. And then we go to a new location, New York City, and we get to meet some new characters. Although they never said the guy's name. I'm sure he's credited as someone. I didn't look, but I just thought it was interesting that during like introducing the characters, they never actually say his name. But he's sitting there looking at this glass box.
Yeah.
And we were just sitting there too, looking at this glass box.
Yeah, we kept trying to figure out what he was doing. And then he got prompted over the speaker, like camera 3, and he had to go adjust the camera. So we're like, oh, okay, so he's obviously maintaining this camera, but still it's like, what is this glass box? What's he taping? Who's taping it? Like, lots of questions.
Yeah, and so right after he does that, he marks the time and everything. He puts the SD card away, and he gets an intercom call from the security guard that there's a delivery here. So he goes, and it's this girl named Tracy, who he either knows through the coffee shop or maybe because he says he's in school, so maybe they know each other as students too. I don't know. They weren't super clear on that. But she's super curious. Like, she knows something's up there.
Yeah, she's definitely trying to get into this extra top secret room that this guy works in. But the security guard, I don't think we hear one word from him. He's just kind of silently there.
He says he confirms that she can't go in there briefly, and that's about it.
But she's obviously super interested in that and trying to get into the room through this guy. She's like bringing him coffee
lattes.
Yeah.
But she's not allowed to go in, and he blames the security guard. It's not because he loses his job or anything.
Yeah.
And she leaves, and through a cool little elevator, which I thought was important that they showed us there's an elevator there, because I have a theory with that elevator. Let's see. Top secret. Oh, and she even like not even coyly is trying to look at like the.
He's like turned around doing like the code, punching in the code to get into this room, and she's like trying to like look around his body to see if she can see it, and she kind of gets busted by him. And I think he's like, "You're a bad girl," like some flirtatious thing about it.
Now the hotel, that's the Great Northern Hotel. I forgot the name.
I think it is the Great Northern.
Okay. Well, we see a familiar face, Ben Horn, there.
Old Ben Horn.
Who still I feel like is graced somewhat like gracefully. You know what I mean? And he's there talking to a young woman named Beverly, his new secretary. And apparently this woman who's from upstate New York, who like her and all of her friends like spend enough money there to like keep their spa open and stuff, is complaining about a skunk. And Beverly's like, "What? How did a skunk get in her room?" And he's like, "No, the skunk was across like the entire like lot, blah blah blah." And then in comes Jerry Horn, his brother, and he's like a hippie now, and he's like talking about weed. And
yeah, he has like a legal medical marijuana business is what is implied, because he's like, now that it's legal, we're booming,
tripling.
Yeah. And so we kind of got the impression that maybe the skunk that she was smelling was his marijuana.
Or at least Jerry.
Yeah, just Jerry, maybe. Just the timing of him coming in was comedic for us.
And Jerry brings up, like, you know, are you banging your secretary? And he's like, you know, hey, come on, respect me.
He says RESPECT, actually. And
which I think he did in this original.
But man, like, he should be skeptical of Ben Horn, because
well, especially
Ben Horn has a history.
And when we saw when Ben and Jerry got together, the only reason they got together was to go to One Eye Jack's. And he even says, sock it to me, sock it to me, sock it to me, which was like they're like getting ready to go to the brothel. So that was a cool callback. And it was just good to see them, honestly. We have a lot of notes because it's just so good. Yeah. I don't think all of them are double-sided though, so don't get too worried. And then we get to see Lucy.
That was delightful. She's adorable. She's always been one of my favorites, and she looks great. Definitely one of the people who has not aged much. And she still got her signature style and way about her, and I loved seeing her. I hope to see much more of her as we continue.
And her personality hasn't changed one bit either.
Yeah, that voice, like, she's perfect.
Yeah, and
she deals with like kind of a weird
salesman.
guy.
Like a salesman comes in.
Well, he didn't really say what he was there.
He was there for insurance.
Okay.
He said. But he doesn't say that at first. He's like, I'm here for Sheriff Truman, and she's like, which one? And he's like, he's really weird about it. He's like, I need to speak to Sheriff Truman. And she's like, which one? And she's like, one of them's young and that one's sick. The older one's out fishing. Or she doesn't say that. It's a kind of like...
She just says one's out fishing and the other one's... Yeah.
I'm only guessing that because of the older brother's fixation on fishing in the original series. Yeah. He was the fisherman of the family. So that's why I assume that. Doesn't mean that's true. I don't know if Harry Truman's sick or not.
But yeah, he says he'll leave his card, and she's like, okay, you can leave it, but if you can't tell me who you're looking for, and then he just like bolts out the door mid-sentence. And she's weird. Like, okay.
And then we get like a long driveway sequence, like it's an old dirt road. And I wrote down Trent Reznor music at 25% speed. Apparently Trent Reznor has some sort of involvement in this. Kimber saw it, but she won't tell me what it is, which is fine. But yeah, that was a cool, like, I don't know how to describe it. It was like
very like slow industrial.
For sure. And we see Doppel Cooper, who, if you're not familiar with Agent Cooper, at the end of season 2, does not get out of the Black Lodge. Instead, his doppelganger, possessed by Bob, gets out, and apparently he's spent all that time growing his hair long and getting leather jackets.
Also looking a bit like a young Trent Reznor in the 90s.
But I feel like that's a good way, because I don't think the original actor for Bob is in this.
No.
But it's a good way to kind of show, you know what I mean? Like, if they could, like, if and we'll get to what's going on, but if the plan works and Bob is now again some sort of like spirit, we don't need the old, we could just use Cooper now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of a cool like artistic
So he's
choice.
kind of like adopted Bob's style a little bit, but updated, and like I think the black jacket and stuff is just like working with Coop's look, I guess. And I thought he had like black contacts maybe in his eyes when he is the doppelganger, because his eyes just are like piercing and black, and he looks like very tanned and weathered, like he's been through some shit. So I was getting like the Bob vibes off of him. I thought he gave a good performance as, when he's Cooper and then when he's
Did you like that they went
Cooper.
from jean jacket to leather jacket?
Yeah, and like I said, I feel like that's just a bit of him like working with the way that Cooper looks as well.
At the same time, although he's a doppelganger, there's obviously elements of Cooper there. Like because we see him take down a dude with a gun and fight. Like obviously this guy isn't perfect. Like he's not a good like guard, but still he does it effortlessly. And we see later that he has like the capabilities of doing certain like FBI stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So he obviously has the experience. I think
he has like the access to like Cooper's.
Well, but it's the doppelganger. It's not Cooper. Yeah. That's why I'm saying like it's cool that the doppelganger is like this kind of like mirror version
for
of
sure,
them.
Yeah.
We all know me. I love Bizarro. So, he goes into he gets past this guard right away. We meet Otis, who says two things. He says when Cooper comes out in, he says, "Well, looky here," and then he's quiet for the rest of the scene, and it's weird. It's Lynch, and there's just like no talking for a while, and we see like there's like two children.
Sorry about that.
Two children are like a young adults, and like in the corner of the room, one is in a wheelchair, the other one's just sitting in like a dad chair, recliner, I guess, with a lamp like right over them, and they're just sitting there and it's super quiet, and then Beulah comes in.
Beulah looks like David Lynch drew her. This family is perfect for a Lynch. I think that it very much reminded me, and I was telling Tom earlier, about Rob Zombie movies. Rob Zombie obviously has some inspiration from Lynch in his filmmaking, and they were very reminiscent to me of the Firefly family from House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects. And I don't know how he puts out a casting call, but Lynch has this magic where he finds these unusual people that just really fit into the world and set the tone for what he's going for. And I thought everyone in this family was great Lynch casting. Like they were so like perfect for his style and his aesthetic.
It's just funny because Lynch, whenever he talks, he sounds like the nicest dude.
Yeah.
So I'm just picturing Lynch approach. He's like, I really like your style. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Can you kind of put it in one of my films?
And really meaning it, because I think that he just does have a love of things that are like strange and unusual and beautiful to him, and stuff like that is beautiful to me as well. Like it just adds so much character to have someone who looks like no one you've ever seen before, and this woman looked like no one I've ever seen before. She was truly unique, and again, the perfect type of casting for what he was trying to do. Writing notes?
Yeah, I'm just taking notes of what people are saying in the chat so I can bring it up later. But yes, Cal, his hair does look good with Bob's style. So he asks for Ray and Daria, who are just younger people who live there, I guess.
They're the good-looking ones in the clan, but
Daria
but with like a twist.
Ray is not.
Well, Daria is, but she's also like looks extremely trashy. She looks like a little bit emaciated, perhaps a drug addict.
Still, if she was in like a Pretty Woman situation,
she could be.
She's just
very
dressed
pretty.
very trashy.
She's styled in a way that's like again.
Ray looks like if
he's Weasley,
if
man.
Cooper ran into the back end of a shovel. Like
no,
his face looks like and I'm sorry for the actor, but it looks like squished in.
Well, he just has like a Weasley look about him. Like he has a glint in his eye that I don't appreciate. Like he looks like he would lie to your face. I don't know, like, which is great because that just means the actor's like doing a good job, because I truly like, we find out later in the story that this dude is Weasley. So like I bought it. I bought everybody in that family. I thought they were great. I liked Otis. He was really cool, like unusual looking dude again. And Otis is also obviously a famous member of the Firefly family from the Rob Zombie movies. So there's another like little connection.
Yeah. So he asks Beulah if Ray and Daria are around, the better looking one, and they come out, and Doppel Cooper is like, let's just go, and they're like, okay. They don't say anything except Daria whispers to the one in the wheelchair, the corner,
Mm-hmm.
and then goes over and like puts her hand on the guy. So obviously, like they are related. I'm thinking or something.
Yeah, I assumed that they were
They're
all
all
a
related
family.
some way.
Yeah.
Um, and they go. Then we go back to New York. Camera 3 is being changed over again, so you kind of get an idea of what time of day it is, if it's like on a cycle.
Yeah.
And like right after he gets a bang, but nobody says anything. Last time the security guard said delivery, but now it's just bang. So after a while, like he doesn't hear anything, and he goes out there. He sees Tracy. Tracy's like, security guard's not here, and he's like, weird.
She's got coffee again.
He goes and he like checks the bathroom. He's not in the bathroom, and he's like, all right, well if he's not around, then I guess I can show you whatever.
Yeah, we have suspicions about his. They don't really explain why he's missing, but we both think maybe perhaps she was involved. Some nefarious thing is going on.
They didn't check the elevator, and they showed us the elevator, and that it kind of like, you know what I mean, like it was easily tucked to the back, and it could have been like sent away or whatever. And so I feel like maybe she could have like razzle-dazzle.
Yeah, and then we're going to go into a scene this is the first of 2 times that we're going to see this scene.
Yeah.
But later on through a different perspective.
So he brings her into the room,
mm-hmm.
and we get to, you know, actually figure out what this room is kind of about. And so his job is just to watch this glass box and make sure all the cameras are watching at all times. And
he mentions that a friend of his was working, or a coworker, and saw something one time.
Yeah, because they're supposed to report if they see anything in the box. And she's like, have you ever seen anything? And she's like, no. And he's like, but the guy before me did, and he went nuts. And so he also says that it's supposedly run by like an anonymous billionaire.
Well, he threw out some ideas like that,
like a rumor or whatever, but yeah, but they don't. I don't think
they don't. I don't think he's really sure who runs it, because I thought he said like a couple different things. Security guard is played by UFC middleweight champion Michael Bisping, and I told Tom when we were watching it, I feel like that guy's like a MMA fighter or something, because I noticed his cauliflower ear, which is a dead giveaway for dudes who do fighting like that.
Well, if that's the case, if he's champion, then there's no way Tracy took him. You know what I mean?
Well, we don't know. Yeah, we just don't know. That's like another. Lynch loves his mystery, and he certainly gave us a few questions that are unanswered. And honestly, like some of it, he might never answer, because that's his style. You know,
he never wanted to solve Laura Palmer's murder, so I'm hoping he can give us some stuff now that he doesn't feel like he has to explain.
Yeah.
So they go and they sit and they have their coffee while watching this box, and he's like, oh, you want to make out? And they make out, and then right away jump into taking off their clothes.
Yeah.
And doing it on the couch.
She looks great, by the way.
Yeah, a long way from Heroes. That's Gretchen.
She's just super tall, and like I was impressed by like her muscular, beautiful, toned legs and her back, and I thought she looked great. Good job.
I wish Chris Pine was that small, because of this Wonder Woman movie coming out, and I think it'd be much better, like proportion.
Because she did look this actress looked way bigger than the dude she was sitting next to on the couch.
So even though she's like very like slender and thin, she looked big just by proportion.
Just tall,
with, like Gandalf and Elijah Wood, kind of like just the. So.
And he was creepy, by the way. That dude, just like something about him was creepy.
He reminded me of Simon from
Misfits,
but like less charismatic. Yeah. And that says a lot about Simon. Also, well, why no condom?
Never. Why do they never show that on shows?
Like I understand Game of Thrones, like they're not gonna just go get some sheep intestine, but yeah, I don't know. She was in Californication too, apparently. I didn't watch that show, although I love David Duchovny, so I should watch it. So they're doing it, and all of a sudden something appears in the box, and it's like this, like it's black and white, which we were seeing that black and white's becoming like a theme.
Yeah.
Like something else is going on. Maybe because that scene was black and white, and he's like, something's in our house. Maybe it's in regards to this black and white entity.
Perhaps. We'll have to update the bang board, by the way, but we'll wait till the end of the season for that, because.
Well, we're gonna have to get a side bang board because of new characters. I don't know if I can fit everybody on there.
Nice.
But if there's a kiss board, I can connect. Well, we'll get there. So yeah, so it's like this body of a woman, naked woman, and like a weird. Well, I wrote Lynchian head because I didn't know how else to describe
kind
it.
of like a nondescript skull with no eye sockets and a mouth type thing. It reminded me later in the episode of when we see the new representation of the arm, which we will get to, but that's what the face kind of reminded me of.
Oh, do you think maybe
we'll get
that, there?
Yeah.
But remind me, because if it's the butt, remind me, because that could look cool. I also thought it might be. Oh, sorry, I'm fidgeting. I need a spinner.
You thought it might be.
Man, I might really do need a spinner. I just blanked out. Where did I go just now? Oh no, they remind me of the Silent Nurses, or the nurses from Silent Hill.
Yeah, but obviously that's
no, I know, but I'm saying if someone is wondering what here's what I think. Man, I cannot read my own handwriting. That's horrible. We should have had you write these.
Alfred.
I know. I was just trying to help. Goes and okay. So this thing shows up in the box, and they're like freaking out on the couch. They stop doing it. They're just there. They're like, and it's freaking out and breaks through the glass, and it looks like it eats their faces. Yeah, it looks like it eats their face. That's why I wrote eats their faces.
And that's what you get for not wearing a condom.
That. The more you know. Eats their faces. Yeah. Okay. Then we get to a new location, which is Buckhorn, South Dakota. I call this character the nutty neighbor because she's absent-minded and kind of loopy. But this woman, when her dog walk by her neighbor's apartment, it smells, I presume, of death because the way she reacts and the dog reacts. And she goes and she calls the cop, but she's very absent-minded. She doesn't know her own address, and it becomes a thing. But the cops show up, and I really like these cops. They were very nice and like patient.
Like small town.
Yeah. And I'll get more into one cop when they actually get into the apartment. But getting into the apartment's this whole thing because they need keys to get into the apartment, but the manager is in the hospital and his brother's supposed to have an extra set. But we should go talk to the maintenance guys in the back. So they finally go and they track down the maintenance guy. And that guy's name is Hank. And like he's weird.
Another character, yeah.
He's looking at the cops and he's like, Harvey, Harvey, you asshole. And the cops are like, no, we're just cops. Like, we need keys. And he's like, but how'd you know where I was? And he's like, you work here, right?
How'd you know I was going to Chip?
Like, yeah, and he's like, who's Chip? Suspicious. And he's like, Barry's brother. Like, it was really weird. And I thought he was holding a violin in one hand, but I think it's like a shoe case.
It looked like an old doctor's bag or something.
That's exactly what it is.
Like an old-fashioned bag.
He's holding it like a baby later. Yeah. But it looked like, because you only saw the handles, I thought he was holding like a violin. I'm like, what is this guy doing? And so finally, the woman who calls the police in the first place is like, oh, by the way, I have Ruth's keys because I'm supposed to water her plants if you need Ruth's keys. And so they finally get in there. They get in. They go into the bedroom where they see somebody in the bed. They undo the thing, and this cop is just like, uh-oh. And that's why I love this one cop. And it's just a head with an eye missing. And then they lift it up, and it's like a dude's body, like in his leg. Like, it looked very like ritual-esque.
Yeah, and that head, she looked remarkably like Nadine. We thought she was Nadine for a minute, especially like with the eye and stuff. We were a little confused, but it turns out it wasn't Nadine. It was a whole new character, and we're going to find out later that she's a librarian in town, and we'll get to that more in a minute here.
Who's Hank? I'm getting my characters confused.
Hank is the kooky dude we just talked about with the doctor bag.
Oh, okay. So we see, he's holding the medicine bag, and he's like calling Harvey now, and he's like, I got what I had to get, but you didn't want in on this. And he's like, don't threaten me, Hank, or Harvey. Don't threaten me.
Nadine too. Yeah, it looked a lot like her.
I don't think so. Only because later on they show. All right, it's just we'll reflect back to that. So then we go back to Roots, and like CSI is there, and we meet Constance and Dave. Constance is like the lead CSI person. Dave seems to be like the lead cop in town, detective, and like we see a little bit between them where he's like, "I got my gloves on," and he's like, "Oh, you're behaving." So like they obviously have like a back and forth. So that's cool. I like them. And they something else happens, and the cop goes, "Uh-oh," again.
It's his catchphrase.
Yeah, I really like him. He's like the Andy
he's the
of
uh-oh cop.
He's like the Andy of their cops, where he's just expresses himself right away.
Yeah, we'll get more to how much I love Andy later.
Oh, all right, you ready? Margaret. So we get to see the log lady.
This is the posthumous return of the log lady. She passed away at the beginning of this year, maybe the end of last year or something.
It was recent because she was able to get into.
Yeah, I was surprised because I hadn't realized that she made it to the filming of Twin Peaks. So I was both like heartbroken and glad at the same time because she really loved Twin Peaks.
This was obviously like her favorite role. There's a whole thing with her log. Yeah.
So yeah, and everything she said just seemed sad now that she's gone.
And we'll go through it beat by beat and we'll get sad. Ready? So she calls Hawk being the chief deputy.
He looks great. He looks even cooler with like
a silver
the
hawk
hair.
Yeah. And she calls and she says the tagline of part 1, "My log has a message for you." And so obviously Hawk has known Margaret for years, and they have a history too. So he's patient with her. And she's like, something's missing, and you have to find it, and it has something to do with Dale Cooper. And his heritage will be the way to find him. And knowing that he's Native American, and he's the one who supplied all the knowledge of the Black Lodge at first in Twin Peaks. Yeah. It makes sense.
And I love him in this scene. I think he's wonderful, and he's so, like, throughout this episode, so sweet and kind to our beloved log lady. I really appreciate how he is, because like you can tell he cares about her. Like you said, he's known her for many, many years at this point, and he cares about her.
And then he says, "Good night, Margaret." And there's like just like a good 10 minutes of silence. Not 10 minutes.
10 seconds.
That's why the episode was so long.
But yeah, that good night, Margaret, felt like a moment of silence for the actress from Lynch. And it made me and Tom, like, we were sitting here like, oh, so sad, but beautiful at the same time.
So we cut back to Buckhorn, and Constance is running the Prince. And she gets a hit right away. She has to call Dave in because she can't believe it. And it's the high school principal, the local high school principal. His name is Bill Hastings. And, right? Yeah, Bill Hastings. And what?
Was his lawyer's perchance his name Richard?
No, his lawyer's name was George.
Okay, good. Because I thought maybe he could be the Richard mentioned in the beginning.
No.
Damn.
Oh, no, but there's no Linda either.
Yeah, well, I thought the wife could be Linda.
Phyllis.
Damn, see, I'm not paying attention.
I wrote all of everybody's names. So, so it's Matthew Lillard playing Bill Hastings, and Kimber for our documentary that we'll do in 15 years about this show. It's going to be called From Leland to Lillard.
The Twin Peaks story or something like that.
We're working on it, but we have a title, and that's all you need. So they go to track him down, and you already know that Dave knows him. You know what I mean? Just the way that Dave reacts, he's just so disappointed.
The way he approaches him,
and
too.
The way, very
gentle.
And Phyllis answers the door.
She's kind of rude. I found
the Morgans are coming over.
Yeah, she felt like the cops were just getting in the way of her life.
I would be upset if I was expecting Morgan to come over and then the cops just showed up. That's just that's rude. So they go and they get Bill. Dave's like, "I'm sorry, I have to arrest you and bring you in," and they won't tell him why. And so they leave, and he's like, "Call George." And we find out later that George is his lawyer, so that makes sense. We go back to Hawk at Twin Peaks, and he's going through boxes of files, and then we get to see Andy and Lucy together.
So cute. Loved every moment of that. I love how Andy's obviously it's been 30 years almost, right? So he has this little gut.
Yeah.
He has a skinny dude gut. He's got the dad bod because he is in fact and has been pretty much since the show ended, a dad. It's adorable. I love every moment of this scene. It's really cute.
And so he's like, I'm looking, for information about Agent Cooper. And she's like,
both of them at the same time. They're like, Cooper is missing. Like, he hasn't even come to see Wally. He didn't send us a Christmas card.
And Wally's like 24 years old at this
Yeah.
point. So it's just funny that they're still acting like he's like a newborn baby.
It was really adorable. Like, my heart swelled during that scene. Just both of them together and the way they were interacting. It was really cute.
Then we go back to Buckhorn. And we see that Dave meets Dan. He works for like the state troopers.
You did skip. They said they were going to get the donuts and the coffee together in the room and start
the first time I wrote that, I was so excited. I think I went and made my own coffee at that point. The second time I watched it, so I didn't write down my notes. But yeah, it's just so cool for them to bring, because we saw the boardroom, and I'm like, oh, they used to have coffee and donuts in there. And then it came back in the end, and I was so excited. You have no idea. I love this show so much. I was 3 when this show came out, so do not mistake me. I'm not one of the diehard original fans, but I definitely like it.
Well, he loves it, and it's not like he just bandwagoned on now. He was into the show before the revival was announced.
Even if you are just joining us now, I'd rather have you now than never.
Of course. Like, I love all the interest that Twin Peaks is getting. It's awesome.
But I'm just really happy, and I just wanted to say that. So we're going over files. Okay, so he meets the state troop, like he's like the state representative for this crime. Not FBI, but like state. So Dave actually asked Dan to question Billy because it's his like fishing buddy and he doesn't want to, but Dan's like, look, you're gonna get a better response out of him than I ever would because of your personal relationship. So he kind of makes him do it.
And Matthew Lillard gives a really good performance in this scene.
Poor Matthew Lillard. Like, it seems like he could be guilty. Don't get me wrong.
His
we don't know enough.
Not actually Matthew Lillard.
Matthew Lillard did it, but it could be like he just seemed the fact that he doesn't know what's going on. Like all he wants to know is why he's there. Like if they told him why he's there, I'm sure he would be able to weigh in. But instead, he's just questioned, and he's like, "You're not even telling me why I'm here, so I don't know how to answer these questions." Which he should just be truthful, but you see how that works out. But he sells it. And we were talking earlier too about how, when Twin Peaks originally came out, it kind of was not making fun of, but because Mark Frost worked on a lot of like soap opera shows and stuff like that. It kind of had like soap opera,
like melodrama, soap opera tropes.
And now it's kind of more like these crime dramas, because I don't think like we do more like crime dramas now than we do soap operas.
Yeah.
I feel. And it had like a lot of those elements, I felt. So they question him and they end up bringing him to a cell and then get the warrant from the judge who's up on the mountain and go back to the house. She's having dinner guests again, or is it the same day, presumably?
I wasn't really too sure about the timeline on that.
Either way, she's having guests again, so she's not happy that her house is about to be torn up. They end up figuring out which car is his, and they search it. They go to his trunk, and I thought this was hilarious. They take the trunk, they get the trunk, and they take a cooler out, and we see Dave's flashlight, and it's going, and he's like, my flashlight's broken. And so it's just so funny because like in the original Twin Peaks, when the lights malfunctioned at first, they just kept it.
Yeah, and Cal's saying he thought it was the same day, so that's
okay. Yeah, no, I didn't know how to. I think she's wearing the same outfit, so that kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair to be a little confused about the timelines because they did jump around quite a bit.
So they find like a piece of meat or a tongue.
Like
it's weird.
Flesh chunk is what I'm gonna go with.
And there's like some blood staining in the trunk, and we go back to Bill, who's in prison, and Phyllis is right there, and she's in the cell with him, talking to him. And Matthew Lillard's like, I had a dream, I was there, I was dreaming. And she was like, whatever, I knew about this affair. Like,
yeah, we decided she's the Catherine.
She is so the Catherine
so far.
Yeah, she's just the way, especially, and it reminds me of the back and forth between Catherine and Ben Horn in season 2 when Ben's in jail.
Yeah.
Remember? Mm-hmm. And like she reveals that she's the businessman. Like the environment definitely kind of made it feel that way for sure. But yeah, Phyllis is Catherine, big. So she's like, I knew about this affair the whole time, so like that's why his prints were everywhere, was because of he was cheating on her with the librarian, and so that's why he was there. But he can't like say that to Dave because I think he's like ashamed or whatever.
You know yeah, I mean? He just doesn't want to put himself out there, and he
but
says to her like,
yeah, I know about you and George, who we know is his lawyer,
and probably other people. He says
someone else, yeah at least one person, and she's like, nope, you're gonna rot in jail for life. Bye.
Yeah, she's like later. Extra harsh when she leaves.
And so at this point, it's like, oh, she set him up. Like that's how it definitely feels. But we're like, but how? You know what I mean?
And the dream thing is confusing because we know like a lot of the stuff that happens in dreams for people can be more than just dreams.
And then we pan down the cell block because he's like freaking out.
Well, yeah, he's just been told.
I really don't think he killed her.
We loved that shot, by the way, when they reveal to him that the librarian is dead, and that's why he's been arrested because his fingerprints are everywhere. Like him having to sell, like just finding out that someone he was romantically involved with has died, and also trying to like hide that he was having an affair with them, like trying to restrain it. He did an excellent job in that scene. Really well done.
Yeah. And we pan down the cell block, and then we see this guy is like covered in black soot.
Yeah.
And
it looks like it's in black and white kind of again.
Yeah, he could be. Yeah, that could be it too. That's weird. And then he just fades away.
He wasn't Bob, but he had that kind of like look to him a bit.
I feel like he's definitely like involved with the Black Lodge in some way. Phyllis comes back to her house. She's expecting George there because she tells George that he knows. Don't follow me now. Wait and then come over. So she gets there, and Doppelcooper is there. So I'm presuming Doppelcooper is the other guy.
Yeah, could be.
And then she's like, "What are you doing here?" So obviously she knows him, and she's like, "You follow human nature well." And he's like, "This is George's gun," and she's like, "Huh?" And he just shoots her in the eye.
Yeah.
Which again, I feel like that imagery with the eye and then the fake Nadine's eye.
Yeah, like she could have sent him to go do it for the setup, and now he's turning on her.
Yeah.
In the same site.
And there's also some other thing with Doppelcooper and Bill that we'll get into later. They never talk about each other. Well, they do. We'll get there. Oh, actually, right now. No, not yet. So Las Vegas, sorry.
I think we're going over into the second part of this.
Yeah, it's not clear when part 1 and part 2 starts.
The way that we watched it was like one big old.
Yeah. So.
But this is about halfway through.
So we go to Las Vegas where we meet some new characters, and this young guy named Roger comes into this office. This guy named Mr. Todd, and Mr. Todd gives him some money, and he says she has the job. And Roger's like, "Can I ask you a question?" And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "How can you let him make you do these things you don't want to do?" It's very vague. And he's like, "Well, hope you never get involved with someone like him." So I don't know if him is the big bad. Like these characters, I'm sure will definitely come back up. So okay, this is what I was talking about with Bill. So we go back to the diner, and it's Ray and Jack and Daria and Doppelcooper, and they're all eating. And we find out that Ray is supposed to be getting info from Hastings' secretary. So there's obviously information. He even says what the information is later, but there's obviously information that Doppelcooper wants, and he makes it a big deal to let him know that he doesn't need this information. He wants, and that's what makes it more important. So there's like a whole like back and forth, and he's Weasley as ever.
She's sketchy too.
She is super. I never trusted them. And then we see Hawk in the woods, and he gets a call on his cell phone, and it's the log lady again.
Officer Hawk, not just a hawk.
Just the hawk in the woods. Ha! Squirrel comes out. Yes, I was insinuating the squirrel was fighting the hawk. It's canon. So the log lady calls Hawk, and he's like, "This star's turn, and time presents himself," which is the tagline to episode 2. And he's patient with him too. He's like, "Me and your log are on the same path." And she's like, "I'm too weak to come with you, but please stop by. I have pie and coffee." And he's like, "Well, I'll have to wait till after." And he's like, "Well, please let me know what happens. Good night, Margaret." So I got stabbed in the heart twice. And then he finds the ring that we see at the end of season 2 to the Black Lodge. And then we cut back to the Black Lodge now in color. Episode 1 was in black and white. And Mike is there on the couch, the Philip Gerard. And he's like, "Is this the future or the past?" And then he's like, "Well, someone's here." He disappears, and Laura Palmer walks into the room, who she's aged super gracefully. And well, she screams super gracefully. She still has
Lynch
the pipes.
Just likes to hear her scream.
Yeah. So Laura's like, "You can go out now," but Cooper's more like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm Laura Palmer," and she's like, "That can't be. Laura Palmer's dead." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm dead, but I'm also alive." And she goes over and like, she at one point takes her face off, and it's like just light beneath it, and then puts it back on.
Yeah, that was cool.
And then she gets up, she kisses him on the mouth, and then whispers something on his ear, and like she's telling him this information, and he almost like a yelp or like it's like a cry of like what he's hearing, like it's nothing pleasant, and she freaks out and then flies away. So there's that.
That's when the curtains start going.
Yeah, the curtains go. Lynch likes her scream. Curtains draw fully back, and they reveal an even bigger room and the horse. And this felt like something straight out of Dune, which was really cool.
The white horse.
Yeah, the white horse. He sees Mike again, and Mike is like, "Is this the future or the past?" And then Mike gets up, and he follows Mike out of the room. And then we get to see the weirdest Christmas tree in the world. It's the evolution of the arm. The man from nowhere. A man from another place. The dwarf in the red clothes is now it looks like a dead tree with a balloon on it, but also looks like a nerve, which I feel like makes a lot of sense because it's like it has like in some like mythologies and stuff, there's like ley lines throughout the like the spiritual realm and stuff like that, so it could be like a nerve ending or something like that.
He also said the actor said a bunch of bad things about Lynch, so maybe that was a statement about how he was on his last nerve.
And then the doppelganger asks Cooper if he remembers his doppelganger, and they show some old footage of their little like race to get out of the lodge.
It's like when they're laughing at each other.
Yeah. And he tells him that Doppel Cooper has to come back into the lodge before he can leave. Like that's the rule.
Yeah.
So we go back to Doppel Cooper, and he's like putting his old car into like a rent-a-space, and then he's there.
That altercation with
he's there with Jack, and like he just starts like rubbing his face, and Lynch just likes like face like power plays, I guess, and he's like just doing this for him for a while, and then it just cuts away.
Then we go back to Daria on the phone, yes. I believe. And she's obviously talking to what I assume is Weasel Man.
No. We find out... Oh, wait. Yeah, she is.
She's on the phone with Weasley Guy.
She says she's on the phone with Jack, sorry.
Yeah, and she sees Coop coming, and she hangs up with him, and he's like, "Who were you talking to?" And she's trying to be, like, all flirtatious. She's in some cute underwear and stuff. And she's like, "Oh, I was talking to Jack, no big deal, blah, blah." And he gets, like, a little closer to her. And he's like, "Actually, I know you weren't because Jack's been dead for 2 hours. Yeah. I just saw him myself." And it gets a little more aggressive at this point.
He bugged his own phone, so he plays the message, and it is her talking to Ray, and he's in federal prison for trying to bring guns across the border, which Coop thinks is shady because he thinks he's smarter than that.
And then Coop kind of brutalizes her.
Yeah, well, we also find out it's a guy named Jeffries wants Daria to kill Cooper, and they're supposed to split $500,000 to do it. He like hits her in the face, brutal. And then he says that he's supposed to be pulled back into the Black Lodge soon, but he has a plan around that.
And then she asks, like, are you going to kill me or something?
Multiple times, and every time he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And he shows her this weird ace of spades with like a circle and like little wings.
Like a little, like a cockroach or something.
Yeah, something, and it makes her like very uncomfortable. But I mean, I feel like if someone just makes you look at something, you're gonna feel comfortable either way.
Well, she just got punched in the face too.
Well, so. Yeah, and then he goes double brutal. I wrote, and he kills Daria with like
his bare hands. Yeah.
Well, no, he shoots her.
Well, he goes
like bop, bop, bop.
bashes her skull in, and
Bop
then
style.
He puts a pillow over her head and shoots her in the head, which seems to be his signature like execution style move.
Yeah. And so he figures out, he goes and gets his like weird like black ops briefcase, and he calls someone he knows to be Philip Jeffries he's looking for. And so he calls the person, and they're like, I know you met with Briggs. And if you remember Briggs, he was the like military guy from season 2 who helped Cooper find the Black Lodge and everything like that. So apparently Doppel Cooper has, our cat's getting into something.
Keep going.
Okay. I just want to make sure it wasn't something crazy. Anyway, so he's talking to the person, and he's like, this is Philip. Like, how did you know that? And he's like, you're going back in tomorrow. Like, so it's obviously somebody, maybe not Philip Jeffries. I have a feeling it's Philip Gerard. I don't know, or Mike, but I'm just guessing. So he plans to get Ray out of prison. He like downloads the schematics to the prison and everything like that. And on the dark web, I wrote down. And I guess next door is like another lover of his / he has a lackey named Hutch, and that's his wife. And they have like a vulgar like thing between each other, and she's gonna clean up the room next door.
She's like, oh, I was getting jealous of Daria, so good. And then there's like the most, I said it was more uncomfortable than the sex scene in Showgirls with Kyle MacLachlan, but we just see the back of her, and she like opens her robe to him, and he just says like some comment about how wet she is, and it's super like cringe.
Yeah, I never pictured Cooper saying that.
Yeah,
it's like. So we go back to the Black Lodge, and the arm is talking to Cooper, real Cooper, and he says 253 time and time again. Ba 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 ba. Go now. And so he like tries to run around and find his way out, and he gets lost. And he actually finds Leland, Laura Palmer's dad, and he's just there on the couch like.
Leland looks the saddest ever. He's a super tragic character in my opinion. But he hasn't aged much. He looks good. I think he's one of the ones who still looks a lot like he did in the original series.
A little tanner.
But yeah, man, he's just super like sad. He asks about like for Coop to go find Laura. It's sad.
Yes. And I just want to make sure I wrote something in the wrong order. So and then like the motion sickness part from hell.
Yeah. There was a few of those. I was having a hard time where the camera got real shaky and weird. And
yeah, and then we hear Mike or Philip Gerard, depending on who you're gonna call him. He's like in the room with the arm, and he's like, something's wrong, and the arm is like, oh, it's my doppelganger. Lo and behold, the bust. One second.
They know the bust if they watch Twin Peaks.
They need to see that. The bust has been the arm's doppelganger this entire time, and apparently it's like a cross between Lemongrab and a Dalek. Because it just like it shows him like a glimpse of Doppel Cooper like driving down the road. It like kind of felt like oh my god, what's that? Kerouac or no, Hunter S. Thompson, Leaving Las Vegas, or what's
Fear and Loathing?
Yeah, Fear and Loathing. I kind of felt like that because it's kind of like what's out of body kind of
like
felt
surreal.
like. Yeah, so it kind of reminded me of that. But it shows him that, and then it just looks at him and turns into the yellow-headed version of the arm. This cat's being bad, and like it just screams at him non-existence, and like the chevron that like has been there this whole time like looks, like Kimber said perfectly, like it serves a purpose. Like it's like keeping it together because it starts like shifting up and down and like breaks away from him, and then we see him kind of float and then hit this glass box. That is the glass
kind of,
box,
like, melts into the glass box
and then goes through the porthole because like the glass box is outside the building and inside the building. There's like a
and then you get like a beautiful shot of him kind of like hovering and floating inside the box.
And like we said before, we saw that one scene twice. So while this is going on and he's in there, the cameras are still rolling, but the guy who's paid to watch this is out with Tracy in the lobby looking for the security guard. So this is happening.
I'm sorry.
And then he's floating there, and all of a sudden, it like this scene reminded me a lot of The Cell, that like Jennifer Lopez movie, where like it's just like a and it's like this cool like effect where he looks like a slide, and he disappears. So the room is just there. So at first I thought like maybe this black and white entity showed up, which now that I think of it, and that's what I was talking about before, that could be the black and white entity, could be the doppelganger of the arm, because it looks like the bust with the head, right? So that could be the doppelganger that goes and kills him. So I was thinking, okay, maybe because they're like, you know, have sex and it's like a horror trope that if you have sex, you're going to die. And that's what lured it there. But now I'm wondering, is that thing chasing Cooper?
Yeah.
And just missed them, and then it came after those two. And then we go back to Twin Peaks. We get to see, like, you know, the road. What was it called? The Roadhouse?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes, the Roadhouse. And the music is updated, but still on point. I felt like I was still there. Like if it was 20 years later and I went to the same bar.
Yeah. All the way down to like the blonde, ethereal type singer. It's a little more like indie rock feel, but definitely like in the same vein of the type of music she was always singing.
Yeah.
We're hoping that they kind of use the same singer throughout the season as well.
Especially when they go to that bar.
Yeah, when they're at that bar, it should be hopefully that singer continuing.
We also see, interestingly enough, at the bar bartending is the actor who played Jacques in Fire Walk with Me and the series, but he's credited as Jean-Michel, and then he has the same last name, Renaud. So maybe it's like his nephew, or like his like they look identical, but they had identical cousins. So like I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, because those characters, the Renaud.
So I'm interested if he's gonna have, now that like he's actually in that part, like if he has like a thing in there.
He's the dude who looked a little like Hodor.
Yeah. But we see James walk in, and he's there with a younger kid who has one green glove on. So I wonder if that's gonna come. Like I look for like the little like weird characteristics, because I'm sure they come back up. He has one green, but he seems easygoing. And Shelley, we see Shelley was the one who was married to Leo and then was dating Bobby Briggs for a while. It turns out she has a daughter, and she's concerned about who her boyfriend is. So it's like, you know, mom stuff.
Yeah.
It's like he's talking at the table with the girls, and then they comment on James, because I guess James is like giving her the eyes, and she's like, "Oh, James is weird," and they're like, "James isn't weird. James just had an accident, like a motorcycle accident.
Well,
he's still cool."
Shelley says that. Yeah. And he didn't age the greatest, and I'm not sure if he really did have an accident, but that felt like, I hope they're not just making him have an accident because he didn't age very well.
I hope they didn't kill off Donna.
We did not see Donna, but we also didn't see Bobby. There's a lot of characters.
But they're also like, oh, is he interested in you? So there must have been some kind of falling out with him and Donna.
Donna and him were barely dating for very long in the show. It's been 25 years, so that could be anything.
And then another guy at the bar, like finger bangs.
I don't know if I would phrase
Shelley,
finger guns. We're gonna go with.
She went bang bang.
Cal said he really liked the song as well from the Roadhouse.
And then it just continues the song during the credits, and that's episode 1. So
parts 1 and 2.
Well, episode 1, part 1, 2. The combination, because they're releasing them together, which I kind of like. So although there's 18 episodes, or I wonder if or 18 parts.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it's only going to be 9 episodes, because they also released 3 and 4 together. Well, we didn't watch it because I didn't want to get confused and spoil anything, to be honest. So it looks like only Cal's around. Cal, do you want to come in and talk about this episode? And if you saw 3 and 4, whatever I just did.
Yeah, I think there might have been some confusion about the times, because I know Mac and Corey were planning on showing up. So
well, it's going to be it's 9 o'clock now.
Yeah,
it's 9:05 now. So we'll start seeing if people pop in. If not,
no big deal.
If they watch the episode, they'll still be able to talk about it.
They could be doing something right now, and you can always catch up on this episode and let us know in the comments if we missed anything or if there was anything you guys wanted to say, and we'll be here next week too.
Well, Cal can't come on right now.
Okay, no problem. So I guess we might as well just wrap it up, because we didn't see Audrey either. Like, there was a lot of people we didn't see in this episode, so I don't think it's fair to assume that they killed off Donna just yet.
Well, Corey just liked the link. Think? No, I don't know.
It's okay. I think we should just do an outro and call it a night.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, next time, if you like this and you want to talk about it next episode, we won't say no. We love this show, and we're glad you came by when you did. Thank you so much. If you want to check out any of our content and our upcoming live episodes, you can check out www.oddshapechannel.com, and there'll be links to everything there, as well as our guest spots on other people's content and links to other people's content.
I'm Kimber at Kimberbatch_OSP on Twitter.
And I'm Tom Bennis, and I am at Odd Shaped Panel. Next recording live is American Odds next Tuesday.
And I will be recording with the Tech Podcast this weekend as well. I don't know when that episode is going to air exactly, but check out my Twitter and I'll keep you updated.
And we also have a bunch of other stuff in the pipeline. So not even that, all that other stuff. So I'm going to be recording something special with my good buddy Jason tomorrow.
Awesome.
So I'm going to work out the kinks in that after this, but
good old J-Woo.
Yeah. So come talk to us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Bye.